stick. I've had a lot of stick from a lot of my colleagues at work, at home, family, friends. They keep calling me that I'm not patriotic. But we've seen this before. We've seen this over and over again. What's it called? Experience will teach you that there are some things that would take you to succeed. There are some fundamentals you need. There are some things that you need to get you off in achieving some certain targets. And we all know that it plays out in our lives. Yes, I can understand Kunle's assertion. I respect all what he has said. But you need to look at things from a different angle as well. People will go for these players because right now, the emotions are high. Everywhere is tensed. Everybody sorts to that competition as a sort of soccer in terms of looking at the landscape and everything that is going on in the country. I don't want to go into that. I'm not talking politics here, and I'll never talk politics. But people saw that as an opium of faith, opium of what's the word? Opium of a way of getting out of the issues everyday issues that is bothering people. So football is a kind of sport that brought everybody together because we all know we play football. But now back to the Super Eagles, back to AFCON 2023. The first game, he decided to do it the way he wanted to do it. He found it difficult. He changed tactics from game 2. And after that game 2, he gave us results against, if I could remember, against Cote d'Ivoire. Penalty by Ekong. The third game in the group, which was against Guinea.
Yeah.
And also into the second round, Cameroon, Angola. South Africa was where the proof was.
Yes,
recorded. It was all there.
It was there.
You know,
on
like
South Africa game.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like the teke many handwriting on the wall, like the king in the Bible saw. It was there. It was there for everybody to see. And in my analysis, I was invited for a sports show, towards the final. And I said it. And I was attacked. And I said it. See, if we go into that game with the same tactics that we have been using from game 2 up until semi-final, the Ivorians would roast us. The Ivorians would dominate us. Now, look at the Ivorian management team. He was a manager, a local manager. Look at what you did. A lot of people would say they had the fans behind them, home support and all that. That's nothing. You can go into a team, go into a ground, despite them having the advantage home support, and still dominate, beat the hell out of them, and go away. All I just needed from Pesero, and if they were really, really, really doing their due diligence, they could have tweaked their tactics because the Ivorians would have prepared for all what they've been doing from game 2 up until game 6. And if he had tweaked that tactics, the Ivorians would have been shocked. And like I stated on the group, this is the weakest Ivorian team. With all due respect to them, they are world champions, AFCON 2023 champions.
I agree.
But this is
totally.
the weakest Ivorian team
And I said it on the group.
I have seen for the past 10 or 12 or 15 years that I've been watching AFCON. Because if you look at it, it was there for the taking.
Nations Cup. Now, for me, I would like to talk first about the squad. We didn't go to this competition with excellent midfielders. And midfield, all the departments of the game are important, but the midfield is where the battle was won at that final yesterday. Yeah. As we were saying in the watch along, Cote d'Ivoire played Fofana, Jean-Michel Seri, and they also played Frank Kessié. Now, those are excellent midfielders. And you remember I told you that Frank Kessié, even though people look down on him, he is actually a goal threat. He scores goals. He scored lots of goals when he was at AC Milan. And the few times he got on for Barcelona, he also did the same. And yesterday he scored. And he had scored before earlier in the competition. So but our midfielders were lacking. The culprit was Iwobi. In that final, he was losing a lot of balls. Frank Onyeka at one point had the most duels won, but as the game wore on, they lost steam. They couldn't sustain that pressure. And for talking about the tactics, Pesero did not approach this game with the right mental attitude. What I meant by that is this. Nigeria came into this competition. We didn't know. No Nigerian would have honestly said that we'll make the final. Absolutely. Now, you have a great run. You got to the final. What do you have to lose? Nigeria has never been a defensive team traditionally, and you can attest to this because I know you are old enough to know that we don't play defensive football. Yes, we are playing Cote d'Ivoire in their backyard, and we needed to be cautious so that they don't hit us. But because of the squad and the tactics, which is the combination now, he was not able to come out full force and take the game to them. So what they did was they sat back to soak the pressure, and against the run of play, they got a goal. And sadly, the same thing that took them to the final was what actually let them down: defensive solidity. Nigeria did not only considered, I think, one goal up to that final, 2 goals, a penalty, 2 goals, Equatorial Guinea and South Africa, and they were solid at the back. And we had an excellent God-given goalkeeper because he just came into the team, you know. So what have you to lose? This is the final lap, and you needed to give it all you've got. But what they did was sat back, and the more they sat back, the more Cote d'Ivoire grew into the game. They got confident, and of course, they got those 2 goals. The NFF, this is a perennial reason. The NFF will always be a problematic angle for the Super Eagles. They will not schedule 8 top-grade matches. They will not pay the players on time. They will not book flights on time. There will be 1 or 2 people that will be accused for malappropriation of funds. So the NFF, I think, in this...
is it the squad, is it the tactics, or the NFF board? What is your take?
I think Mark has already kind of said everything, and it's all of the above. From the squad to the fact that the Super Eagles is one thing that I know is always light on midfielders. I think this thing has been there since, if I remember correctly, at least since Gernot Rohr. We hardly have midfielders. We will now go and pack defenders, we will pack forwards, and we will now be like, so it's always going to be that way if we don't have midfielders, right? Because midfield is where the balance between defense and attack comes from. That's why it's called midfield, middle of the field. So, and that is where all the control and everything. So, if you do not have good lanes in that department, the defense will suffer, and that's why you could see that the defense will be under pressure most times, and it will become difficult to soak, because there will be those periods, like Mark said, against the run of play. They would score you, and that was what happened yesterday. So definitely the squad. And the tactics, I wouldn't say anything wrong with the tactics. Obviously, Pesero knew that we were light in midfield, right? So that is why we employed the tactics we did. And that's why I would have to give kudos that despite that, because with the kind of tactics we had, and the fact that we actually played against teams where even the likes of Equatorial Guinea, they had midfielders more than us, you understand? But the mere fact that we were actually able to get results over these teams, even South Africa, Cameroon, all of that, I think it shows that we really outdid ourselves, to be honest, because we wonder how could it work. But we got to the finals. That's why I feel we shouldn't get too much on ourselves, because we clearly pushed ourselves to the limit, and that was how far we could go. And yes, of course, you can't take up the NFF, because everything that is wrong with Nigeria